All right, good afternoon, boys and girls. Ms. Brzezinski and
Miss Baker
here to teach you a new concept. Today, we are going to start talking about the process of multiplication, what you have all been dying to learn. So before we start multiplying, we have to understand what multiplication means. And whenever you're doing multiplication, you are finding equal groups. So today we're going to use manipulatives to create these equal groups. But what in the world does equal even mean, Miss Baker?
You know what? I have no idea. I've heard it before, but I can't explain it.
Equal means the same amount.
Equal means the same amount. Unequal means not the same amount. When we are multiplying, we want to find equal groups.
What do we want to find? Equal groups. So let's use these manipulatives to create some equal groups. What do we have, Miss Baker?
I got something good for you. You guys ready for this?
Candy! Ooh, I will take one of those right now. So we want to take all of this delicious candy that we have here, and we want to create equal groups. Miss Baker, how can we do that?
Well, we have a lot of candy here, and I think I want the same amount as you want. So why don't we try to put this amount of candy into two equal groups?
Okay.
So I'll get one and you take one.
Okay.
Here's one for me.
And one for me.
So now we have our two groups, and we're going to keep taking some candy and see if we can make two equal groups out of this bunch of candy here. So I'm going to take another one.
And I'm going to take another one.
So I have two now.
Me too.
All right, I'm going to take this one. This looks good.
I'll take this one. This looks good.
So now I have three. I'm going to take another one.
And I'm going to take another one.
Okay, I'll take this green one.
Ooh, I love me some Starburst.
Take this banana.
Ooh, I will take the strawberry nerds.
Okay, I'll take the strawberry nerds as well.
Ooh, I like lemonade with cherry.
And I'll take the last Laffy Taffy.
And I will take another lemonade with wild cherry. Ooh, yummy. So now we've separated our candy into groups here. So let's see if we have the equal amount. So if I have the same amount as Miss Baker. Miss Baker, count your candy and I'll count mine. We'll see if they have the same amount.
Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 pieces of candy in my group.
Let's see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have the same amount. So we have two equal groups here, and we both have 8 pieces of candy.
There are two groups of 8. Let's see if we can make another set of equal groups using our candy.
We've made our candy here into two groups. So we have 16 pieces of candy here total because 8 plus 8 is 16. Let's see if we can take these 16 pieces of candy and make different sets of groups. We tried 2 groups. Miss Baker, let's try 3 groups.
Okay,
so let's put the candy all back together. So let's try 3 groups now. So Miss Baker, you can take one.
I'll take one.
And we'll save one here for Mr. Robson. Maybe he'll drop by later. And then I'll take one.
Okay, and we're going to keep distributing these candies into these 3 different groups to see if we can come up with 3 equal groups. I'll take another one. Here's one for Mr. Robson.
And here's one for Ms. Radzewski.
Here's one for me.
One for Mr. Robson. And one for me.
One for me.
One for Mr. Robson. And one for me.
Another one for me.
Another one for Mr. Robson. And one for me.
Okay, so now we are only left with 1 piece of candy. So we're going to keep that one right here. And we're going to count how many pieces of candy we have in each group. And then we will decide if we have equal groups in each one. I guess you can't see that. So I'm going to start with me. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of candy.
Let's see how many are for Mr. Robson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he has the same amount as Miss Baker. But then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we all have 5 pieces of candy, but then we have this one piece left over that's off on the side.
I'm going to take that and add that to my group right over here.
But then, Miss Baker, but now you have 6.
Oh, no. If I have 6, Mr. Rapson only has 5, and Miss Radzewski only has 5. Are these equal groups?
They are unequal. So that doesn't work. We can't separate 16 pieces of candy into 3 equal groups. It didn't work. It was unequal. So 3 doesn't work. What can we try next?
Let's go with 4. Let's see
Okay.
if we can separate 16 into 4 equal groups. So I'm going to take one. I'll keep one for Mr. Rapson over here by me.
And let's get one for Miss Amina. I know she really likes candy. So one here, and then one for me.
I'll take another one. One for Mr. Rapson.
One for Miss Amani, and one for me.
Another one for me. Another one for Mr. Rapson.
One for Miss Amani, and one for me.
I'll take one more for me. One for Mr. Rapson.
One for Miss Amani, and then one for me.
Now we've used up all our candy. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of candy. Let's count and see if they're equal.
Okay.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of candy in my group. Mr. Rapson has 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of candy in his group.
Let's see about Miss Amani. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of candy for Miss Amani. So far, so good. Let's see about my group. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We did it.
So now we've got 16 pieces of candy that are in 4 equal groups.
We read this as there are 4 groups of 4. Let's see how many more equal groups we can make. We did 2, we did 3, we now have done 4. Let's see if 5
Okay,
will work.
let's see.
Who else can we give candy to?
Ooh, Mr. H.
Oh, he does love candy.
He does, and he's always such a big helper.
Okay, you can save Mr. H's. I'll keep mine and Mr. Rapson's over here.
Okay.
So I'm going to start off taking mine, and I'll take one for Mr. Rapson as well.
Okay, so here's one for Miss Amani. Here's one for Mr. H. And then here's one for me. So we've got 5 separate groups here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. I'm going to take another piece of candy for me, and one more for Mr. Rapson.
One for Miss Amani, one for Mr. H, and one for me.
Mrs. Radzewski, they can't see your candy.
That's because they're going to take it.
Okay, here we go. So, still, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. We still have some more candy over here, so let's keep going. One for me, one for Mr. Rapson.
One for Miss Amani, one for Mr. H, and one for me.
All right, and we only have one left. And who should we give this one to?
But then we can't split it up. Not everybody would get that piece of candy. So, is this equal? Can we make 5 equal groups with 16 pieces of candy?
Let's see. If I were to put this in mine, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of candy. Let's count and see how many are in the other groups, just to make sure they're not equal. 1, 2, 3 pieces of candy for Mr. Rapson. 1, 2, 3 pieces of candy for
Miss Amani.
Oh, that was Miss Amani.
And then 1, 2, 3 for Mr. H. And 1, 2, 3 for me.
Okay, so each one of these groups has 3 pieces of candy, but this group over here for Miss Baker has 4.
So is that equal, Miss Baker?
No, we would call that unequal groups.
So 5 groups didn't work. We did 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you think about? Let's skip 6 and 7. Let's try, I want to be big. I want to share a lot of candy.
Oh, my
Let's
goodness.
make 8 groups.
It's going to be a big one. Okay, let's see.
I want to give lots of candy out. Okay.
This is going to be hard.
16 pieces of candy into 8 groups. Let's see if it works.
Okay, I'm going to take one for a group for me. I'm going to take a group for Mr. Robson. I'll take a group for, let's do Mr. Barker.
Ooh. Miss Wilcher.
And Miss Wilcher, yes. Miss Wilcher loves her candy, too. Who are you going to take your groups for?
Well, I'll give one to Miss Deljevic and Miss Braswell. I'll take one for me, and I will take one for Miss Amani. Miss Amani.
Okay, so I'm going to start over here. I got one piece of candy for me. I have one piece of candy for Mr. Robson. One piece of candy for, who did I say?
Mr. Barker.
Mr. Barker. And one piece of candy for Miss Wilcher.
Ooh. And I have one piece for Miss Amani, one piece for Mrs. Deljevic, one piece for Mrs. Braswell, and then one piece for me.
Okay, so let's count our groups just to make sure we have 8 like we planned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different groups. All right, we have some more candy up here. Let's try to see how we can separate these. I have one for me, one for Mr. Robson, one for Mr. Barker, and one for Miss Wilcher.
Ooh, one for Miss Amani, one for Mrs. Deljevic, one for Mrs. Braswell, and then one for me. We're out of candy.
Woo!
Let's see if our groups are equal. How many do you have?
All right, I have 2 pieces of candy for me. I have 2 pieces of candy for Mr. Robson, 2 pieces of candy for Mr. Barker, and 2 pieces of candy for Miss Wilcher. So far, so good.
Let's see what I have. I have 2 pieces for Miss Amani. I have 2 pieces for Mrs. Deljevic, 2 pieces for Mrs. Braswell, and then 2 pieces for me.
We read this. There are 8 groups of 2. Let's see what we've learned. How many groups of stars do I have? That's right. I have 2 groups of 4 stars. Great job! If you had a hard time understanding this, you can rewatch the video. If not, head back to our library and you can watch one of our review videos.